everyone who follows Pro League is a little bit traumatized because until they see the body of lane swaps, until they confirm that that is actually lane swaps lying there in the body bag, they are not willing to let it go. They're ready to see some new rendition.
It just always comes back.
It does.
But
as we
another
get
way.
into picks and bans, look, already some targeted bans coming at APA, something a lot of teams in the LTA aren't as willing to do, but seeing the Zig, seeing the Draven taken off the board, the Victor response, obviously a strong pick, but something that Vladi is also especially confident on.
Yeah, I think the first two bans, they're very indicative of the focus of these teams, both mid laners. Like you said, Vladi, huge Victor over here. For APA, there's actually two champions. I even put his Talia up on his Ziggs tier. I don't even put his Aurelian Soul up on his Ziggs tier. Those are the two champions. I really think he is also so good at the Talia, so some options. Oh, no!
What's the third champ? What's the third? You need a third champ, Kobe. You need a third champ.
Man, Casey, do some good prep. Good
Yeah, I don't think this prep was particularly hard. What I'm looking towards, I mean, we all know this,
Yeah,
right?
we saw it, we
seen
saw
this.
it, yeah.
It's been often talked about point. My question was going to be the Skarner, because he did receive another round of nerfs. I feel like this pick has been so extremely heavily pro-skewed. Caliste still being in the ban list makes 100% sense, but is the prio going to be completely gone after yet another round of nerfs? And it looked like it very well might be. The Vibe priority remains as high as always. This pick goes well with so many different junglers, or so many different mid lane picks in particular, and it shuts down a lot of AD carries as well.
Conventional response at this point in the LEC at least would be to take away the Mbessa, the reliability of that point and click combo. Mbessa did get hit on the patch at least a little bit. I don't think it's significant enough to take her out, but we'll have to see if TL are willing to give that champion up and lock something else in for themselves.
One of the big things to me with an early buy pick, though, is that you are already in your first pick indicating that you're going dive.
Yep.
This champion is hard constructed to make comps go around dive, you know? And with Talia already being banned out, you know, you think of other mid laners that pair well with it, like Ahri or something, if you really want to go for those kill combos. But regardless, this comp is going to have some pretty strong elements of dive, and so TL should already be thinking counter dive. And so they immediately lock the Maokai. I do like that. It's one of UmTi's most consistent and I believe strongest champions. So happy to see the Maokai pick up there for him. And then Varus has had such a high priority for Yeon as well. So honestly, like the response from Team Liquid. Let's see how hard KC want to go with their dive comp. And the following picks here, because this will really give away everything.
That's also one of the big advantages of Varus. Depending on what KC end up drafting, you can either go for Ornn or Lethality. Lethality has such a big effective range, so if they do end up going more heavily into dive, you can go for that, as the Ezreal gets picked up here for Caliste.
And this, I like it because you don't commit to the dive, but you can add your Ezreal ultimate. So they've got a very good element of range around it.
Ooh.
And, okay, this one definitely goes with the dive. This was a small nerf where people were wondering, is Aurora still going to have you know, kill threshold basically with the E damage nerf, and then the previous patch there was a little bit of damage out of the R. You're like, if you're taking little bits of damage out of the kit, you know, from various places, is Aurora still going to have that one-shot combination onto the low mobility carries like Varus that you want to pick it into? Looks like KC and have determined that it does.
Yeah, now we're going to see a second AD carry follow-up here, locked in for APA, the Tristana. Generally pretty strong, comfortable mid laner. You want some AP in the jungle when you're going to go, or excuse me, AD in the mid lane when you're going to have AP in the jungle. For UmTi, most likely, short of a Maokai flex. Overall, I think TL's response to the Vi super clever, because normally on a previous patch when lane swaps exist, you get Vi and Kai'Sa, you get this dive duo. Kai'Sa without lane swaps, infinitely worse as a champion. And what you mentioned earlier, the lethality Varus, one of the few champions who can match the mid lane prio that Ezreal normally gets to secure.
And you get that ability to buffer a Vi ultimate here. You know, since they already have this low mobility carry Varus, that's going to be put under a lot of pressure. APA wants something very safe there, so the Tristana, you know, in the face of Vi and Aurora dives towards him, wanted that extra mobility. We kind of go back to last year's like MSI meta and stuff with the double 80 carries and the Trist coming back.
Cassandre also got hit. I also don't think that matters enough to actually take him out. The Mbessa already, as you mentioned, taken away still as we get to the second rotation. I do love the Poppy ban in particular. I feel like playing just in the Maokai, that's still manageable. Varus is still going to have a tough time into that Aurora. If you add the Poppy to it as well, I think Vi barely gets to play the game, so definitely a good one there. As the Braum taken away here, so I think a signal that TL is going to be looking to pick up any of the engage supports. We see the Nautilus is a popular one if you want to combine it with the Ornn Varus. We'll see what actually ends up coming through. The Leona might be a good takeaway, because even though it sucks to play into Ezreal Leona is such a strong 2v2 that you might want to try and avoid that.
Definitely some good options. I'm really curious to see what TL are going to do with this red side pick 5. They ban away the Cassante, which, again, with impact on Cassante, a lot of your playoffs, Kobe, was just teams banning it phase 1. They just did not want to see him play it, specifically targeted at him. Does make it not quite into phase 2, and now going to need to open up that pool at least a little bit.
Yeah, and TL, luckily for Impact, you know, their red side, they can save their red side counter pick for Impact rather than use it for support if they really want to go that direction. Meanwhile, you know, Chronicle, you were talking about what sort of engaged support do they want to go with it. And TL, with banning away the Braum, you know, it opens up a lot of the options there for them to get Core JJ on a playmaker, and that certainly has been when they looked the best. Although Core JJ also does like playing some lane dominant stuff, and our pick ban has disappeared.
We're going to trust that it'll be back momentarily.
We can turn around and look behind us.
Nope, they see the team logo's up.
Okay.
We'll keep you up to date. We got more information, and if anything else does get locked in. But in
I
the
see a
meantime,
Pikachu. or is it just a Pichu? It was the
It was the baby Pikachu.
It was
Yeah. I don't know if you're allowed to pick that.
No?
But it is very on brand, Kobe.
We haven't added that one yet?
The first time me and you are casting from Wall Park, we somehow start talking about Pokemon. I feel like we're doing well to the gentleman who, like, it's on brand.
Yeah, no, it's in the Lore Park tradition, so I think that's actually really considerate of you. I'm not the guy to talk about when it comes to Pokemon, though, so unfortunately I'm going to have to kind of leave you to it.
I mean, I think we all, you know Pikachu, though. We don't need
well,
to
no,
go
I know them, but I don't know enough to actually talk about it.
Look, focusing up, we have first 3 picks locked in on both sides, right? We have this Vi-Ezreal combination.
Yeah.
When I look at this matchup overall, I know on the NA side, based on listening to the dive for multiple episodes, the question has been like, how is UmTi going to perform? I think Maokai is like one of the best options you can get if you're nervous about consistency.
That was my first reaction.
Yeah.
Honestly, 100% agree there. It is a champion that provides so much to the team later on and for team fights and brings so much structure. Giant ultimate, saplings for vision. And assuming that he's going to build fairly tanky, will provide the extra ability to face check. Let's see how quickly we just get right back to it. Assume they'll just be able to fill in everything that was already selected, and we'll get right up into those 4th picks.
Going to give a lot of further direction to the drafts. Targamas, in terms of champion pool, actually has the opportunity to go for some of the more out there counter picks.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see if they're going to lean into that. Or for a first game, you can also just pick one of the more traditional power picks, particularly with the Vi. Any additional CC that you can layer on top is going to make the game a lot harder. I'm with you though on the Maokai. I feel like Maokai is the best champion. If you're not even the best champion, if they engage on you, generally you'll be able to W to someone, throw a note, and the rest of the team can get to you in time to bail you out of most bad situations.
Look, long-range CC option like Maokai Ultimate that's basically a disengage, tells the enemy team to back up when you have 280 carries, feels like a pretty clear formula to success. But now as we get through the portions of pick and ban we've already seen, we're approaching that 4 pick for red side. What are TL going to be looking at? A lot of top lane options taken away. They can just opt to blind for impact, save counter pick for support, but might just lock a support here.
Yeah, we've got Leona available, Nautilus available. There you go. Nautilus point and click. Very, very standard here for Core JJ. And response from KC. Let's reveal top lane. Let's reveal support matchup.
One of the biggest benefits of this is that you have an actual guaranteed way to lock down the Ezreal. It's a champion that's notoriously slippery. And I think that is the one downside when you play the Leona, is that actually getting on top of the Ezreal is going to be a lot harder. Nautilus does have an easier way to do so. Do wonder whether that means that Yeon is going to be playing the on-hit Varus, as we more often see that combined for a little bit of additional laning strength. There is just an engage support, as we kind of were expecting.
Yeah, so let's see. We could go like Jayce or Gnar here. Both feel pretty like good possibilities. You know, your Jayce, you go more poke with your Ezreal. Your Gnar, you can get your little bit of split push, come in, have really good engage to follow up with the Vi and the Rell. And they go with the Jayce option there. To have that extra bit of damage. Kind of like it, honestly.
And for Canna, I think it's been his most strong pick in terms of his 1v1 lane performance. Again, we saw bits of it early on in the split, kind of died out weeks 2 to 3, but by the time we were getting into playoffs in that final series, he was really taking over with his champion. The Thimble Winter build did get hit, so I expect probably more damage coming through. The question is, does Impact want to fight fire with fire, or with 2 carries already locked in, is he happy to kind of play Ornn? Well, there it is. That answers the question, doesn't it?
You could kind of see some of the body language there, too. He was like, get up. He was like, all right, here we go.
Right.
I'll play the Ornn. We're picking for team. We've got Maokai. We've got Ornn. We have mega frontline with double 80 carries. We've got Team Liquid Fortress 5-on-5 fighting.
And you got to feel for Impact. They made an entire patch full of ham-fisted lane swap changes. He finally gets a 1v1, and he has to play Ornn into Jayce. It is not the ideal starting point.
Good luck on that matchup. I think that there is certain matchups where the Ornn can actually do a decent job of getting through the lane unscathed without any help. Renekton is, I think, one of the classic ones. Even though he is such a big lane bully, he can trade decently. But into Jayce, I think he's going to be having a really rough time.
In the beginning of the day, we were talking about the patch.
Yeah.
And the removal, or the attempted removal of lane swaps.
You mean the successful removal?
I'm just saying, we haven't seen the gameplay yet.
We need a guy in a
Maybe
morph
there's
suit
some
that says lane swaps who can just come in and says, my demise has been greatly exaggerated.
Impact could just say, I am not going up there. And he could just go bottom side. You know,
you can't stop him. He might lose XP, he might lose the game, but if he wants to swap, they cannot stop him. That said, look, we've got a composition, a lot about picks with the Vi. You mentioned it, the Jayce, strong early lanes, balanced out by the incredible team fighting of Team Liquid.
That's us. Welcome
That's
to
us.
That's
Welcome
you guys.
to us.
That's
Yay.
us. We're happy to be here.
Bronco didn't make us a sign.
That's true.
Well, I did welcome you at the beginning of the day.
And yesterday when we were doing rehearsals.
Yeah.
Okay.
I came over all the
Checks
way
out.
for you. You guys guilt-tripped me into doing all sorts of
He
activities.
was late.
We made a convincing argument. It wasn't a guilt trip. But here we are, folks. It's game 1. It's first stand, brand new international tournament. Reminder that it is fearless, so you're not going to see any of these picks again. Whether you like them or hate them, they're not going to show up in game 2. But now getting into game 1, important to start this tournament off. Again, each team, single round robin. You only get 4 best of 3s, but this is by far, for both regions, the most important best of 3.
It truly is. So much trash talk rides on this best of 3.
The whole year will be decided by this best of 3.
Last year we had a lot of trash talk, but you know, you're only as good as your last victory over your rival, right?
This is the Western Finals.
Yeah, everybody will immediately just go off what we see here. So let's get right into it. Currently, we've got standard lanes, you know. Looks to me like lane swaps have been headshot.
I'm not going to celebrate until the full tournament has been run.
Okay.
But we'll see. What I want to look towards here is where the priority is going to be. Obviously, topside is going to be a really rough laning phase for the Ornn up until at least level 6. Then I think you have both a little bit more kill threat, and if the jungler ever shows up, you can actually take down the Jayce. But until that point, I think it's mostly going to be bot side focused for Team Liquid, whereas KC should be looking towards the top side to try and make things happen.
Yeah, I mean, UmTi's playing with double 80 carries, so he wants those lanes ahead. He was spotted, by the way, when he went in to steal Raptors. So Yike is coming down, and the bottom lane's already here. UmTi, you got to get out of there, bud.
Targamas level 1. Mount up. Doesn't quite have level 2. Can just bully him out. Gets a bit of damage down, but UmTi should still be able to walk away. Quick arcane smash. Walks out, but spends a lot of time effectively just leashing that red buff. Certainly a little bit awkward. Does mean Caliste is on his lonesome. Poor JJ wants to walk forward with a level 2. Forces an early flash, and that is the cost of Targamas roaming when they didn't really have bot prio.
All right, so we'll see. UmTi getting set behind a little bit there on the timing, but it does, as you say, cost them the flash here for bottom lane. Ezreal, of course, still quite safe.
Yeah, Ezreal will get access to his arcane shifts and should be fine from there on out, but the fact that UmTi effectively wastes a lot of time is going to feel rough. But because of that payoff of the flash, I think it's as if he would have gone for a cheesecake after the Raptors, right? Still get the summoner.
Plus, honestly, it wasn't like that much of a discrepancy in time. While it was an investment in time, because the Yike walk all the way down there as well, it's not the crazy, you know, jungle diff. As you can see already, UmTi immediately just went to his blue side, and he can clear from his blue side up. So it didn't completely hinder him as far as the individual matchup. Now we'll see, though, after Yike finishes his blue quadrant, what he can get done there, because Vi up on the top side is quite possibly looking to go for a counter invade. Gets
no smite.
Seen on his invade.
And there's a back. So yeah, this is just going to go to Yike.
I mean, UmTi knew because he didn't have smite. He was like, I'm not going to be able to finish this. So he was walking all the way back. Didn't fully leash it though, so.
It was also because right at that moment, we had the back coming in for APA.
Yeon on the brush, trying to go for a bit of cheese there, faking the recall, but only able to get a couple Hail of Blades autos out. So not too successful. Could have been a kill if, Casey had missed position, but they stayed on the opposite side of the minion wave.
Yeah, so all told here isn't going to be too big of an effect for them. I would say it's definitely a big effect for topside. As we said from Champ Select, Impact was picking for team here with the Ornn pick and is kind of appropriately getting abused in the early game by Canna's Jayce. So definitely getting a bit low on resources, but UmTi himself doing quite fine there with the Maokai. Remember, he did steal away the full Raptor camp as CoreJJ goes for an attempt. So all he gave away was the smite on the big Raptor, and he was able to steal away all of Yike, so not too shabby.
And Canna having this much pressure is something that goes back to his T1 days, right? This is why he was the guy back in the day. Played up until 2021, was a single game away from making to the World's Finals back then on that T1 roster. And it's always been, I think, his early laning phase that has been a very consistent point of strength. In the past, had issues with then converting that into a consistent mid-game. But I think with experience, has gotten a lot better at that as well and has built a very substantial lead. And I think that this is one of the things that Canna gets to play like this because UmTi has been so meticulously tracked, right? Yes, he got the early reps.
No flash. Is able to arcane jump. The ignite goes down. Targamas taking a bit extra damage. The Q! Pixels away from finishing off close there. 2 stacks maybe wouldn't have gotten the job done, but certainly would have left that health bar.
It's going to be enough to be able to get them a turret plate, though. There's already half damage on that turret plate.
The pencil doesn't find it.
And this was the big thing when we looked at this matchup. This 2v2 bot lane. Could Core and Yeon replicate some of the success they had? They get the early flash. Now they're putting more pressure on. Yike might try to respond, but he's spotted. And again, not quite in a position from UmTi to step back into the pit as Targamas is still here. His bot lane has reset. This is a bit awkward.
It certainly is. I mean, they both have smite. Yike was quite good with his smites in LEC finals, but Targamas isn't enough of support there to allow him to finish. And since the bottom lane for TL made the better call not to sacrifice their tempo for that turret plate greed that I thought they were going to go for, that is the reason they are able to get to reset and get the dragon instead of it. So good job not sacrificing their tempo, greeding for plate and going for that one. Meanwhile, Yike just will trade up to the top side.
APA also had prio in mid, right? So he was early on the roam. I think Tristana particularly at this point is so quick to just shove out the wave with V, then get towards the skirmish as CoreJJ is continuously fishing.
And I think what's impressive here is it's just that early flash advantage and the 2v2 that they have selected in Champs League that they're using to push forward. It's not like UmTi has been here camping this bot lane matchup. It's just Core and Yeon pushing every advantage they can get. And again, because Yike is spending so much time chasing UmTi around in these circumstances, he has slowed down his own jungle clear. He's gotten the grubs, he's getting closer to 6, but that is the big break point that Vi is always chasing.
The big thing, though, is that Canna has just gone unmatched, right? As Targamas
mounts up, luckily able to get the Aftershock off where he might have fallen down, but this bot lane is really suffering in the 2v2.
Bot lane is struggling, but again, I think that the reason, if we look at the gold differential, is still in favor of Casey. 2 plates have been found by Canna just in this pure 1v1 matchup, gets to relentlessly bully the Ornn, because otherwise I think Casey could actually be in some trouble with the pressure that's been found by both APA and Yeon, the fact that the early dragon was taken, and it's kind of what we said in draft, right? Yike has actually been able to play towards the top side of the map, outside of Trek and UmTi. Getting those grubs early on is going to feel really good for Canna in particular, as we can see, by far the largest individual gold lead.
So Yike uses smite to grab the Raptor there. So UmTi thinks that he can just go in and take this red buff, but Yike's got a second charge built up as well.
Do they know?
Not sure if they do. Q flash over the wall, wants the full commit. Nice interrupt coming from CoreJJ, but the damage still connected. But UmTi is running. FaZe rushing out, and it's first blood for TL. Vladi trying to move down, but APA already with the cover. Double kill for UmTi on the bottom side.
Great vision toggle right there. You could see CoreJJ, TL waiting in the fog of war with that control ward there. UmTi communicating to the bottom lane as Targamas put the control ward over to see them on red. Hey, they're about to come for me. Look at this camping on the control ward, and they're able to make the counterplay right as he goes in, and the hook just gets Yike. That was actually crazy timing right there.
That's some expectation management, okay? UmTi in the enemy jungle, seemingly alone. That's a freebie, and instead they
I
turn
gotta
it
say,
around!
Kobe, if you tell me that you've known all along and this was a plan to catch us off guard, UmTi's inconsistent performance, because KC clearly believed it, clearly thought that he was just making a mistake.
It was a hard sell!
I'll admit it, I was part of the propaganda. We're telling everybody, hey, UmTi, he's your target. You got to go kill him. And now TL are able to use him as a bait.
Give that man an Oscar. You know, 2-kill winning performance there. And that's decent. It balances out the gold lead that we see on the top side. And now there's even more pressure on Canna to keep this advantage going. He cannot stop bullying Impact out, because if we go longer, the Ornn has inevitable value. He will have that ulti. He will be able to make an impact and fight. So more pressure on Canna to further cement his lane lead.
I love it. The general is back in Korea. UmTi with the plays here. Nice acting, as you said, but we'll see as we move forward. You guys are right to continually focus on Canna here and the possible pain that he is going to bring to Team Liquid once we see him join up with the rest.
For me, it's been core. I think his early movements and both his pressure in lane as well as in that play right there, absolutely pivotal in how a lot of this early game is played out. For KC, what I want to see is I want to try and see them find some of these messy skirmishes. I think their burst potential is absolutely crazy with the setup that they have. With the Aurora, the Vi, and the Rell, you can really catch people off guard. You just need to try and avoid the classic, we're going to just go in from the front to back, because if you ever do that, UmTi went Knight's Vow. Like, that man is just here to be a CC bot, and if you don't approach from multiple angles, I think you're going to have a really hard time actually breaking through the TL shell.
UmTi is honestly 5-star general right now. Really, really doing everything that we want from him on the Maokai, even as you're saying, devoting all resources to the game plan. And let's review the game plan, because this is all about the comps from Champ Select. TL, they are a fortress of a team fight. Massive frontline, double 80 carry, massive classic carries. UmTi's actually going upriver, so they want to make a visit towards Canna right now.
He's going to get hit by the second half of the ultimate. Sustained CC here. Decent chunk now coming, and that's the ulti full root. Do they have enough damage to finish the Jayce? The answer is hell yes. Canna running, trying to outplay him, but he just can't even play the game. There's too much CC.
The general strikes again!
And Canna, unfortunately, not the first time that we've seen him fall in this trap, but
Wait,
I think...
Yike?
Oh!
Vladi. Ooh, weirding hits, but not doing a whole heck of a lot of damage. Maybe thought he'd be able to find an angle there.
If TL, like, oh, this is insane. So they get the kill on Canna, take him out, they're gonna deny the full grub value that I think KC was definitely looking for, and they're getting free plates on bot!
This is an ideal TL strat from when they were at their peak last year, and they're performing so well. They had Tristana for APA. They had him split pushing early on in the side lanes. They're one of the teams to rotate him to side lanes very, very early on in the game. This one getting huge value out of the turret plates while they stole it away.
Caliste good buffer to make it out, but this is the threat of Core and Yeon in mid lane. They have so much more reliable engage. Targamas is still level 5, and while you can get a lot out of Rell engage, Nautilus brings so much more burst damage, which means Caliste always has to be careful when he's sitting alone in that mid lane.
For KC, again, I'm looking towards some of these skirmishes. I think that they need to try and find a fight. I think that obviously the TL comp is also hard to engage into just because of the Maokai, because of the fact that the Tristana is so hard to reliably lock down. But if you don't find a fight at, say, the Dragon, that I do think they should be looking towards now, on the one-item spikes that are starting to get through, Black Cleaver's done, we have Ludens as well here for Vladi. The game isn't going to get easier, right? That's what why we're putting, I think, a lot of pressure on KC is because I think if we do go into the late game on these terms, not even a lead, even if it was even, I think TL is going to have a much easier time.
Which is why you can see this commitment down to stop dragon stacking. You know, they don't want TL to have the ability to draw them to a dragon soul super early on. So they're actually going to give up, some turret damage on top side. Impact is going to be able to get something done there. Canna still gets a turret plate by himself on bottom side while they take away the dragon, though. And now Vladi's made his rotation all the way up to answer Impact.
And the Jayce pick just continues to pay off. But again, it was the Ornn that came in later. The team fight is the goal of TL, and the fact that they've been able to get so much early on in the game, despite topside, hemorrhaging gold, is an indication of just, one, them catching KC off guard on multiple occasions. And KC getting stuck in a pretty awkward situation in this mid-game outside of, again, the Jayce pick, who is their really big strong point.
And Ornn is also one of the champions where the gold that you get isn't nearly as relevant as the experience. So much of his power is gated by the fact that eventually he starts giving out the upgrades to the rest of his team. And being behind in gold, especially with the extra stats that you get from your passive on any completed item, means it's really not that big a deal. And in experience, Impact has been able to keep up. He's about half a level behind, but that's not going to be the end of the road. And I think that's where we when you see the Ornn really get taken out of the game, it's when he's like 1-2 levels behind, never gets to walk up, has to drop a lot of experience, as TL continuously looking for these aggressive plays. Will get spotted though.
And now they're uncertain. Is UmTi stepping too far forward? Is it a trap? They're not going to take the risk this time around, of course. Don't really have bot prio.
Now every time you go and try and pick off UmTi, you got to think to yourself, is Core here? He's also are they trapping me? Are they trying to bait again? But honestly, he has been playing to the game plan so incredibly well, never going up, to the other side of the map. And now currently behind Vladi on bottom side, starts with the ulti.
Another ulti. Can use the ult to try and get out, but looks like he wants to try to use it as an alternate escape path. Excellent knockback coming in from AP, but it doesn't look like they're going to finish. One little gift for Vladi, but again, it's the Night Vow. It's not the Leandries. There's no damage there. Now Caliste in trouble. Good chunk coming out. Yike desperate to ult, but an early flash comes out from APA to deny the chance. And Yike, again, this is why you pick the champion. He hasn't got to ult a single time.
And topside turret might go down here. Canna, he's committed to the game plan, as the rest of the Rift, I think, struggling a little bit more, especially because they couldn't get a counter kill. I know Vladi was able to stay alive, but I still think you're pretty happy with that trade as TL. The fact that Yike then was able to get the flash out of APA, that's a big deal though.
Yeah, that definitely will be a big one as we get later. His rocket jumps are going to have to be on time, and they're probably going to have to be more defensive than offensive once we get to it. But they also do have a lot of good peel. And Yeon has kind of been posted up quite safe here. The Varus, you saw him trying to push Caliste out of lane, constantly landing the poke here, constantly keeping that pressure on.
And the lane economy snapshot presented by MatchCard is really the game snapshot, which is Con is the only person with money. Everybody else on KC side is broke. They're going to need a little bit more time. Items at least coming through first items, but Yeon already rapidly approaching that second. Does stack the Muramana pretty slowly before that completion, so won't be the scariest spike initially. But TL packing a lot of firepower on top of the fact that, as we said before, their comp scales fantastically.
And it's about a 1k gold lead for TL now. I think KC will get like 2 more big opportunities in a fight to try and burst out either Yeon or APA, because that is the one thing that the TL comp is going to struggle with. I think the one-item spikes for KC are kind of crazy, particularly compared to things like a Knight's Vow, right? Ornn on one item doesn't spike nearly as hard. And then, oh, Yike. Should be fine here. And then secondly, they do only have 2 carries, both of which are AD. So if you take out one of those, they lose a lot of damage. And I think for KC, basically everyone can be a threat in a long enough fight. As
Canna turning back on APA, knowing that Core is waiting over the wall. The knockup will still hit, but a nice chunk out to start things off. Targamas now chasing down APA again. APA earlier did give up that flash, but will walk away. Good buffer on the hook coming out from Core to make sure he could get out as well.
It's like, no, can't kill him. That's Ornn with an ending to spare. And the Giant Bell, Yike might be able to get the Herald for this. Would be big, but they do spot him.
Yeah, they haven't quite committed down to the bottom side, and UmTi's coming on up here, though.
UmTi had to use a smite earlier on the Raptors, though, so Yike might be feeling confident that he's up the spell. Canna breaking yet another tower. And while I thought Canna was important, I did not expect Game 1 to just be the Canna show. This is the guy single-handedly keeping KC within touching distance in terms of gold. And ultimately, because he's committed so much on bot side, they cannot get the Herald.
Actually, even now, again, thanks to the turrets that have been taken, and I think TL made the right call in denying, but they did rotate over a lot of people, which means they didn't really have the opportunity to keep Canna away from that turret. And Canna's 2-item spike is approaching, and that is going to be a lot of damage that's going to come through. I do think TL have enough engaged so they don't have to just sit there and take the poke, though.
And the objectives are going to determine our very late feats of strength in this game, since TL got the 3 kills, but the tower, of course, go to KC. So the objective focus here, as KC are setting up pre-Dragon spawn, and TL have APA split pushing on top side with his Tristana trying to get that outer tower gold.
If they will grab that money, nice injection of gold. 2 items going to feel really good if he can race there quickly.
Teleport is available.
Awkward objective start. Yike caught out here. UmTi can now follow up. Should be pretty easy to take this buy down. No one else is in the area. Flashes out, but still gets caught. Oh, that's a heartbreaker. TL now going to grab the objective.
UmTi casted his ult already, so it was there when Yike goes for his flash to get away after getting bumped back. Regardless, it all started with Impact finding the pick there, but that is massive because they didn't have to commit APA's teleport to make that dragon play. They got it.
Okay. I'm ready for a moment's notice for that kill, but it's a great call out. Because how many times this game have we seen Yike start an objective just to be forced to walk away from it 10, 20 seconds later? It's clear the whole team isn't ready. Caliste and Targamas are behind on the roam. Vladi is not moving up, and Team Liquid capitalize.
Impact on tanks, just the GOAT there. He makes the initiation, and then UmTi with the bump back, and he had ultied already, so his ult was already traveling forward, so Yike flashing right into it.
And it feels like, I understand why KC felt relatively sick, because Vladi actually pushed up far, but the cohesion of TL has just been on a different level, right? The fact that Impact is already in position to look for the punish there. The fact that once you get hit by any point of CC, you do die. Like against this TL comp, there's just too much lockdown.
Okay, feats of strength all come down to this Rift Herald.
And they secure it. UmTi set up on the side. Ulti not quite available. Very hard for them to fight for space. It looks like Team Liquid are just going to concede. Will give up.
Teleport from APA is
but
going
now
bottom.
KC want to keep things going because it's Vladi waiting in the brush, and this time it was TL. Caught unawares, not ready for the play. Locket comes out. UmTi going to be able to walk away, but a pick on top of the feats of strength coming through as TL tried to reclaim something bot.
It was interesting to watch because you could see both teams calling for plays in different areas, with KC making their play in mid. Nice successful kill onto Yeon, and TL making the call to push bottom side. But now this tower, Rift Herald instantly takes out the last outer turret here for Team Liquid, so KC have been able to open up the map. But again, the Tristana teleport was used to bottom side as well for APA to get down there with impact and at least trade that outer tower as well.
Still a really big win there for KC, right? They get the feats, and this is exactly what you need to be looking for, because some of the big cooldown ultimates are not there for TL. UmTi doesn't have his, neither does Impact, so as a result, if you do actually get on top, there's not really a chance where you get baited in a bad engage, where even if you do burst the target, then the follow-up damage is enough. Really nicely done by KC, but now...
He coming in, UmTi's been caught out, but it's APA here to back him up and knock down Yike. Once again, Targamas caught out as well, trying to get something, but it's Canna finally arriving in the fight. But again, the CC is too much. All of his gold does not matter. He cannot push a button. Yeon finding the snipe. TL obliterating KC in the exchange as they turn to Otacon.
The power of tanks making all these picks, and APA, the Tristana, enough damage to finish off these kills. Yeon walking down to the rest of the team after they had already started the play, and the rewards for that play, the rewards for these tanks making more aggressive picks here is going to be an Otacon this time around.
KC get beat down by the beefcakes. They just can't get through. There's
How long have you been waiting to say that? How long?
Well, since you started your point, obviously.
I can see it.
I was waiting. As we take another look here, it's these traps that have been the biggest difference maker, right? So many times it feels like KC are just not ready for the amount of commitment that TL is willing to put in, and then even with Canna coming in.
Look at this hook too. Oh.
He doesn't get to play the game. He's the most fat member, the strongest member on KC by far, and he just gets put in the bouncy house.
And massive credit to TL. Again, you highlighted it. So many times they're looking to make these fast plays. They'll concede a recall to see if they can catch someone out. They'll wait in a brush. If no one comes, they might be giving up a little bit of tempo. But KC keep falling into these traps, and now TL are making so much money on a comp that is so much easier to execute. And we've crossed the threshold. By level 6 to 11, that's where you want to be making all these plays. Yike has not been able to do anything.
Well, that's the big thing. The gold lead isn't actually that big, but considering the respective scaling strengths and how straightforward the comps are to play, I think that the KC comp, for what it's worth, if you ever find an off angle and you pop one of APA or Yeon, I actually think that this comp can have a lot of longevity, but actually doing that when TL are looking to get full map control is going to be infinitely harder.
Yeah, the play that KC pulled off in mid lane, well, let's take a look at this one.
Ulti going in. Target's likely to body block. Will buffer on the way out as well. Good movement to make sure no one else gets caught. 3v3 mid lane. They don't want to risk the fight. Yeon did burn ulti. KC kind of out of fuel to start this one.
That's 2 ults gone. Dragon is coming up soon.
I think the big thing here to point out as well as the gold, you mentioned it earlier, Ornn upgrades coming through. His impact is level 14. So essentially 2k gold, more worth of stats going to Team Liquid on top of a pretty small gold lead. Item completions as well. The good news for KC, you talked about the pick angle. Ezreal 2 items, strongest point for this champion in the game relative to other picks. Can outvalue some of the gold difference, but not if his back keeps getting canceled. TL are just taking all of these little advantages. This has to be infuriating for KC.
Certainly does. And I would have to say, one of the big things that brought them success in their play in mid lane was the Vladi flank around behind Yeon in the previous one. Like, if they're able to get, you know, a good initiation, like you're saying, onto that backline, as they're actually the ones getting flanked here, since TL want to use their GAs.
Impact, blowing the horn. Targamas, the counter engage to try to get things kicked off. Already jumping to the backside is Yike, but he's getting torn down. The peel coming out just in time. The front line turning back to save their carry. One GA getting taken away. The false life off the board, 200 gold, but how many lives is it going to cost them? Canna tries to find the knockback. Decently tanky, living thus far. Gets out of range of the knockup crucially. Core still living, but Impact manages to take another. APA jumping, ready to reset, but won't find another kill. 2 down on the side of KC. All D in. Won't do much.
Okay, Yeon's back up from his GA revival, running straight for the dragon. With that victory, TL should be able to get the objective. Again, that's the bonus acquired by the Otacon. You want to force that play in mid, so even though they are able to kill off Yeon, he just revives. They're able to get the extra gold from the kills here on the side of Team Liquid. They're able to get the objective afterwards as well. Really, you know, well set up by this team.
And it's the deep ward that I think spotted Targamas, and the fact that as he goes for what I think is a great engage, Impact comes in again, and it delays so much of the initial damage, because I think they could have won this fight if it wasn't for a lot of their backline being slowed down by that Ornn ultimate, right? Because the TP timing could have been a little bit more crispy there. It was definitely a window there, but instead, TL get a ton of value out of their Otacon buff. They stack another dragon, and KC still don't get the fight that they're looking for.
Yeah, TL with their tanks were able to tank so many tower shots in that to be able to get the extra kill as well. UmTi's back around to those Raptors, by the way. Yeah, that's his favorite spot in this entire game. Goes, takes those away, he leaves behind a sapling.
The mental edge is insane. He could run in there when they could see 3 other members of their team, and at this point I feel like KC are going to be like, but is there someone else supporting him?
The mental edge and the vision edge, because again, the saplings is such a big part of Maokai, and he's always leaving these saplings behind there too. The extra vision for them really providing a lot, but TL, as poor JJ goes for a little bit of fun here in the river.
But overall, this game, a story of kind of the diligence and setup from TL, preying on the expectations of KC when they thought they could catch UmTi, and just being so consistent on these setups. Again, another ulti to kick things off, goes a bit wide, but they get what they came for, which is the tier 1 mid lane tower of KC.
And that is going to make it already harder, because I think for KC, the one point of real strength that you still has is Canna. As we saw earlier, has done the most damage in the game by a pretty substantial margin. But Jayce in the side lane is kind of awkward, because even if he is strong, there is so much CC available. So it is so hard to actually put that into any meaningful pressure. And with the mid lane turret missing as well, it's going to be so easy for the long range engage on TL to rotate it over and oppress KC and not allow them to find any of these flank angles that at this point they desperately need.
And if we go back to the reason why we're here, it all does come back to first picking Vi. That's why TL go with this strategy, because you reveal so much with a first pick Vi, and that's why a lot of people are not super big fans of showing it that early. Yike definitely has had a rough time, but now he's trying to do the shadow push where he trails behind Canna. It doesn't look like APA is anywhere close, though, so they aren't going to find anything this time around with their attempt.
Sticking around just in case. And this is the angle. This is the pick we talked about, right? Canna maybe doesn't have enough damage to 100-0 finish the kill. That's why they spend a bit of time fishing rather than starting red buff, rather than focusing their attention elsewhere. As you said, it does not pay off. It does not really work out. Even though they stick around for an extra, 15, 20 seconds, and TL happy to take that time, use that time to get mid-prio, and then start shifting down to the bottom side.
All right, let's see how dicey it gets. APA, again, spent all of last year for Team Liquid, split pushing in side lanes. A lot of it when they were running double AD carry comps, a lot of it with Tristana, a few other champs as well, but that was one of the things that we complimented him so much for last year, was improving in that aspect. And there you saw it again. He waits until the timing window to go back down and push it. Now he can rotate back up with the team to Baron. And they're doing that prep work for Baron, getting your vision through the blue quadrant of the jungle first, even kind of contesting blue here a little bit.
And for KC, the one way that I think you still have a foot on the zip, you need to kill APA. Because if you kill Yeon, even if we do it, at this point, the consistent damage is just not going to be there, right? Even with how strong he is and the fact that he's very far ahead. Levelity Varus alone just doesn't really have the damage. The damage of the rest of the champions is going to fall off, right? Ornn damage will still be okay, but especially this Maokai build, he's not going to be doing anything but tickle. So if they can somehow find APA, who by the way does have the Knight's Vow on him, that is going to be the one way where KC can still find a foot, but otherwise I think TL, 2k gold up, 1 dragon away from Soul Point. And the bait of Baron has been set up.
They're just baiting. Crucially, Varus ult does miss. Yike has still been caught out. Initial ulti kicking things off. Yike already deleted now. It's connected on Canna as well. Canna about to get knocked up. Chain CC again. The strongest member on the map. All that gold he earned in lane amounts to nothing as TL pick off 2.
The Beefcake Bounce House Chronicler. I'm liking it. Give me 2 tickets.
TL just zoning them off, starting the objective. Don't need to worry much about the steal, but don't want to risk getting poked down in the pit. Still a lot of power from the Aurora. Core JJ standing off to the side.
Impacts can turn.
15 seconds on Yike before you get active on the rift, but APA and Yeon here should be able to shred through this objective. Bliss still poking.
Targamas.
Again, Vladi the one you need to watch. Vladi and Targa, can they find the combo? Bliss slowly getting poked away. 4K, they've got no business being here. They might try and flip it anyway. They go in on Yeon, a clean flash out from Yeon. A bit more poke coming through, but Vladi just has to walk out. Baron going to fall for TL, a massive advantage.
Desperation days for KC. They desperately have to try to do something as here. This is very classic by TL, right? You can either walk up there as KC and someone is going to get caught with the amount of CC. In this case, it's Yike, but realistically, anyone is going to get blown up because there's no vision on Nash. If you give up Nash, the game is also as good as lost. So TL just present a lose-lose situation. KC don't find an out.
And look, the poke comes out here, but I think the thing that's infuriating for KC is that TL have just read them like a book this entire game. That setup, APA stepping forward. They knew their only out was the pick, so they lay, once again, a trap. The same trap they've laid so many times, but there's just no other option for KC, and things are only getting worse.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that they can take home from that is like, oh, they got Yeon's flash in that attempt. And that is very little. When you're staring down now a Baron buff, as well as the Dragon Soul. And
also, like, your Caliste, you're safe. The Soul, the Cloud Soul, you're getting run down. The fight's now bringing out. They might have caught Core, but it's UmTi, the speedy Maokai on the backside as Yeon finds yet another kill. Caliste forced to run. KC so incredibly split. Again, desperation, the story for this team in the mid game as Yike is sent packing. They get Core, but it might just cost them everything to do it. 3 stacks there as Yike tries to get tricky.
Running.
Where's that little Vi?
But he does get spotted. I don't remember this from Arcane. What scene was this?
4 levels down. Guys,
Tristana,
this is not going to end well.
He might be able to escape. Tristan's still chasing. He might lose his base, but he might keep his life.
It's Cloud Soul Tristana, and he's still getting away.
The great escape. Yeon is still going to knock down tier 2s. Tier 3 is also in jeopardy.
Going.
This is the biggest dub that Yike has gotten the whole game.
And that is
that
is not Flame. He's actually right.
But it's wait, UmTi!
Sidestep.
The juke!
Okay, he's kind of clean with it though. He's running. Good movement.
Right,
where's he going to go?
Oh, no.
Back into the jungle. Keep him going. Keep him going.
Let's go, Yike!
My man refuses to get caught. But then he get hooked observers. None of this. Take it back. He's still alive. He's holding over to Core. Can he escape?
Get him, Yike!
It's the little victories for KC. Targamas might die, but will Yike live? Targa knocked up, going to die. Yike finally falls. Canna on his lonesome, but there's just nothing he can do. He's getting run down. Blasco there if he wants to try and escape, but the lockup is just too much. Yeon, a double kill. 10, 1 and 2 on this lethality, Varus. This has been a slaughter.
Can I just highlight that arm guard buy? I love that. The man doesn't have flash, and we could see how aggressive he was playing at the beginning of this whole sequence of events, and it's because of that item. He just gets to walk up, know that by the time that wears off, the rest of the team will be there. And I think TL, this is basically how you want this exact game plan to pan out from start to finish.
Impact calls in the Ornn horn. Vladi locked up, will flash out, still gets locked up on the ulti coming in from Yeon, and he's just not tanky enough to survive. APA resetting, bounce housing all over the LEC in this game 1. Yike able to do nothing. Put on a good show in the escape, but could not find it anywhere else. Game 2 on the horizon, but it's TL drawing first blood in this age-old rivalry.
First blood at first stand. UmTi, take a bow, honestly. Really, really well delivered. The fans here out in force for him as well. The full tank reaction to the Vi pick and executed quite well for TL. Again, UmTi from the very beginning, focus on invading towards the bottom side of the map, constantly towards the bottom side of the map. When he finally made his visit up top side, it was only for the very efficient kill onto Canna. They played to their double AD carry strategy very, very well.
And takeaways here. Lane swap's gone in game 1. That's good.
Yeah.
Love to see it. Secondly, KC, I imagine, going to try and go for a different game plan because this one was relying on the early and didn't quite end up panning out.
Ultimately, an incredible game one for TL. We'll see if Casey can bounce back after this. For now, we're going to head to a quick break.